Yep. So about 30 seconds ago, nothing was working, and now it seems to be working, which is the ideal. How is everyone in the chat? Let me know if everything's too loud or too quiet or anything like that. I usually let it linger on the starting soon bit to let people gather in, but because I was too busy sorting out behind the scenes tech stuff, I thought I might as well start it now rather than let people just see nothing but stream starting soon. I need to clean my screen. My iPad screen. You guys can't see it, but there is schmutz all over the place. It's no good if I can't see what I'm drawing. Right, let's actually start moving things on the screen. And I can jabber on about everything that's been happening this week. So if any of you that were here were actually subscribed and expecting something through the schedule, which I've very meticulously not adhered to, I wasn't feeling too well earlier this week and over the weekend. So rather than half-ass it on yesterday, I thought I'll give myself a break, which I never do. So just sorting out where the shadows are falling on this. So generally where I'm thinking it's going to be coming in is from like this way, from the front. So right in its face, like it's lunging towards someone's torch, like an adventurer's torch. That would be like that. Like that. Because it's basically counting pixels, but what I do to create the sense of depth here is I don't have the shadows join up to one another. Because these blanks of wood are not flat. You can see along here, you've got the ridge of the actual recess. What's up, Ali? How you doing? Just talking about wood ridges and watching the viewer count plummet, because that's the exciting content everyone's here for, is what wood is. Man, dinner time is entirely a construct. It only exists as much. It only like carries as much weight as you give it. Unless this is particularly late for you. So yeah, I should probably defer to your greater knowledge of wood and trees, things like that. It's basically making these planks of wood look a little bit more 3D. I'm basically doing that by having this shadow really cut in quite dramatically from the edge. Fair enough. I suppose once you've got dinner out of the way, then your evening can start proper. So the earlier dinner gets out of the way, the more like evening time you have. So I have no plans on which direction to take any of these. Well, like not which direction, but like where to like what to start with or what to finish with in terms of the shadows. I'm probably gonna leave the mouth to the end because that I think is the most intimidating part. So I'll warm up on these like slats of wood and the bits on the outskirts. As I gather up my courage. But it has been a busy all week. So it's because I didn't stream yesterday. It's felt like Tuesday all day today. Like in terms of like pace of the week, it's felt like Tuesday. In terms of energy levels, it's felt like Thursday or Friday. Where would that shadow be? I think it would be here. So I'm wondering if, just through sheer force of will, we can force it to be an early weekend. Where to go from here? So I reckon continue on with this little bit of one chain. Yeah, it's been a week of Fridays so far, energy level wise, for sure. I mean, not like I've got much to do on the weekend. Like, it's lockdown, so just staying inside like a good boy, like a teenager again. Yeah, as like as a world, as a country, we're basically We're grounded. It's alright. I've been because I've been feeling like trash this week. I've enjoyed more video game time than I'd normally get. So I've actually made a ton of progress on the Dark Souls and Minecraft that I'm both playing. Oh mate, no worries. Like, I am here to talk ungodly amounts of nonsense in lieu of anyone else. It's what I'm here to do. So, the shadows for this, I think, come like that. I think we get something like this. Nah, I'm not liking that. That looks trash. I did. I saw the news that the lifts in Mass Effect 1 are now completely skippable, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Because on one hand, great, you don't need that. You don't need those loading times anymore. But on the other hand, they actually did a really good job of making those loading times feel necessary. So I actually enjoyed all the time in the lifts on the Citadel, just having my squad mates talk trash about whatever we're doing. And I think I played Mass Effect 1 when I was actually out of work. I didn't have a job at the time, so I spent a couple of afternoons just riding up and down the lifts with different squad mates to see what they would do different, like what different things they would say. So a lot of people give them a lot of shit for those lifts, but I have a massive soft spot for it. I've seen loads of them. It's good. Like the first one's going to play a lot more like 2 and 3, which is only a good thing because that's the one that's kind of it's very much they were finding their footing with those kind of games. So it's the one that sort of aged the hardest. Oh, fair enough. The story was really good. Like, I think what was the main bad guy? Saren, I think his name was really good. Really enjoyed every time he popped up. Even though his final boss fight was like, it's a bit of a piss take, and it took a little bit longer than it probably should have. There's a couple of forms that he goes through that I don't think he really needed that much time in each form. Where it's like the whole game's been teasing, sort of spoilers, his corruption, and then you fight him like normally, and he gets a little bit corrupted, and you fight him again, and then he gets even more corrupted, and you fight him again, and then he's finally, it is like he's gone too far, the power's consumed him, and you fight him again, and it's like, okay, I didn't need that middle one. But honestly, any more time with Garrus, Rex, and Grunt, the boys, I'm happy for. Yeah, it was a completely different beast from the first one. Because 2 and 3 play fairly similar. You get a lot of different like tricks and like stuff to do and use in them, but they're very, very similar when you compare them to 1. It was 3 was absolutely fine until that ending, and I think it's probably one of the first like big AAA examples of the devs weren't given enough time to finish it. And it was so like blatantly obvious that it kind of felt real cheap by comparison to what we've got in other games. I like to imagine they've sort of updated it and gone, okay, no, because this is a remaster, we can actually put in the ending that we really wanted to. I understand all the hurt about it, but other than that, I think it was like a really solid game. And I'm very tempted to actually stream Mass Effect when it comes out. Because I feel like it's a game that I know well enough that I'm not going to be horrendous at. I know I'm not going to be horrendously bad at it, so I'm confident that I could like be competent enough. But also, it's going to be like new enough because I haven't played it in near 10 years. Yeah, the journey was fantastic. It didn't stick that landing of like the last 10 minutes, which was a massive shame. But it is what it is. I think, if I remember right, they did go. Did they go in and they updated the ending? Did they? I think to give it a little bit more. It's why with Andromeda, when they're like, we're just going to another galaxy. Like, this is Mid Shepard's like saga, and these guys just left the galaxy. It's like, you know what? Fair enough, because how could you plan a new game after all the variety that you've given the players to craft their own universe in the first 3 games? Yeah, I think the Citadel DLC seemed like a massive love letter to their work and also an apology. So that felt like the true ending, where everyone like a post rap party at a movie or like a movie set sort of thing. Is how that felt, which I really appreciated. And there's a few things with like DLC characters as well, which I think they can sort of sidestep now because they're not going to be dealing with DLCs and stuff. They've got what's his name? Is it Javik? He's he's like the survivor from the previous like Reaper cycle, and like you would think a massively important character to the universe and the entire game, but it's a DLC guy, and you look at it and you go, really? He got relegated to DLC? Like, nah, it's not on. So you won't see the lines between DLC characters and like core characters as much, which will be really good. Because I never actually got the DLC with Javik, so I've never. I have to like remember his name, if his name was actually Javik or not. Uh, was it Javik? It was Javik. Okay, my memory isn't that bad. Yeah, I never spent any time with Javik because I never got the DLC. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what his whole deal was, being like that sole survivor. Because I've seen like best bits reels of his. And there's a whole stand in the ashes of a billion souls and tell me if method like morality matters. Like he has such cool lines. Yeah. I think it was very much like a sign of times. Like DLC was kind of new enough that they were like, what can we get away with? Like, can we just all the stuff that's not quite ready, can we shovel onto DLC? And Javik's stuff just wasn't ready by release date, so he unfortunately got the shaft. Whereas I think now they kind of know, and now they won't be doing any DLC with it. Yeah. It's one thing I've always sort of struggled with games like Mass Effect or Final Fantasy, where you have a cast of characters you build into your squad and you get to pick from. And that's because some characters come like appropriately like later on in the story, and I want to know what they would have said about early missions. Um, so one I always keep going back to is uh, Final Fantasy X, and you don't get Riku fully, the little Albed girl, um, until like what, maybe halfway through the game. Like you get her as a playable character at the opening, but then she doesn't come in as an actual character that you can level up properly until like a third of the way through the game. And there's stuff that I would have liked to see her reaction to and things like that. There were like first two things that you did in the game. I get it from a storytelling perspective, but I also kind of want all the toys to play with at the same time. I want all the characters. Um, so I think usually what I did with my last Mass Effect playthrough, uh, I just did all the missions to get all the characters that you could have in your squad, and then started doing other stuff. Like my playthrough was proper bare bones until I had a full roster of agents, because I don't want to miss out on content. I don't want to miss out on the lines of dialogue or the personal quests, or um, if you take Rex on a really early mission that is only possible if you get him immediately as soon as you can. He says this outrageous thing and gets this weird gun for it. Like, I want to unlock all that. I want to see that. A, because the developers put the time and effort into actually like recording it and programming it and coding it in, but also I want to see everything. Yeah, they were some of the worst. Like Katsumi was really good fun. The little heist that you do with her personal backstory was really good fun. And there was the mercenary as well, who was like the old grizzled war veteran, who looked super cool and was super menacing. And like, you're perfect for a renegade run, but by the time I get you, I'm almost done with the game, or I have to start the game afresh to get real time with you. And even then, being a DLC character, you can always kind of tell. Like, there's a certain level of like, oh, they don't quip quite as much as the core characters. Yeah, I get it for all the storytelling side of things, but on the other, like, this character needs to come in on this scene because otherwise the plot's not going to play out the way the writers want to. I get that. I respect like holding things back for the right moment. On the other hand, I just want the stuff. I felt like the mercenary guy in 2 was like the only true like renegade partner that you could have on it. Like, if you're going like, I'm playing a bad dude shepherd, like he is a nasty man, then this mercenary guy is the guy to go to. He will do all the bad stuff with you and have your back the entire way. But yeah, he just wasn't there enough. Yeah, I have no idea what they're gonna, if they're even considering like more voice lines or anything like that, like expanded dialogue. Would I like it? Absolutely. Of course, I'd like more dialogue. It was really, really good. Um, Um, I think the Dark Asari lady was no, she was a core character, but she had one mission where you chase down her daughter, I think, who she'd gone essentially like dark side, um, using her Asari wiles for nefarious reasons. But that was just a pretty one and done mission. Like, you take her out for a bunch of like main missions, and then she comes to you and goes, "Oh, I've got a daughter. She's a bad dude, and she's gonna kill people." She does this whole like, "Ooh, let's go have the sexy times," and then stabs people. Um, um, Shepard, do you want to be a honeypot in this catching of her? And it's like, fuck yeah, let's explore this darker side to the Asari, who come across as this whole like, oh, we're like, if you have like the demonic succubus in an incubus in D&D, these are like the celestial divine versions, like the undeniably attractive to every person in the universe, but they're always doing it for good. They're a very like Star Trek style perfect society, and then in that one mission you see, oh, there's a real nasty dark side to them that they keep a heavy lid on, and I would love to see more of that. Honestly, the biggest like achievement they had with the Mass Effect series was just the fact that there's so many alien races that you like immediately fall for, and you want to know so much about. And in the games, I think they were very good at sort of teasing that and saying, "Oh, there's way more here than we're showing you," because there's not enough time to show you everything. That I'm genuinely kind of surprised that there wasn't a million and one spin-off games, comics, and TV shows, stuff like that that delve into all this sort of stuff in a very like Star Wars kind of way. Um, and I don't know if it's a particularly controversial thing to say, but I've always felt like Mass Effect was my Star Wars universe. Whereas people like get crazy into Star Wars, and I love the way Star Wars looks, but it's never as like as a story or a living, breathing universe. It's never quite hooked me. Whereas Mass Effect absolutely did, hook, line, and sinker. Um, and I know there were some comic books, but I don't think there was enough. Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything that has like a massive concept art book to go alongside with. So any sort of video game RPG has buckets and buckets and buckets of concept art that I adore looking at. Um, and one of the things, this is going to get into a slight tangent, um, but other than like the whole like massive universe that you're only seeing a snapshot of, that I love is seeing all of the what could have beens. Um, there was definitely a couple of actual printed um, Mass Effect comics, but I don't know how well they did because they seem to pop up and then go pretty quick. So I don't know if they were just sort of telling the story of the game in some way. Because I think it was always the cast of characters you got in in the game were the subject of the comic book. So I think it was like, what did Garrus do between Mass Effect 1 and 2? What did Tali do between Mass Effect 2 and 3? That kind of stuff. I don't know if they came across as like just too much of like a tie-in sort of thing. Where arguably a lot of the greatest Star Wars material is not the main films. It's things like the Clone Wars TV show, some of the comic books, like the actual novels and stuff like that. Um, Same with like 40k. Some of the greatest lore and stuff like that is from the Black Library, not from the codices. So I wonder if it was like they just didn't quite hit home the way the core game did. That's not one I'm. Hellreach isn't one I'm familiar with, but it sounds it sounds like a fantasy novel if I ever heard one. But yeah, I'm an absolute sucker for concept art books and seeing sort of what could have been. So if you show me a bunch of sketches of stormtroopers and things like that, um, oh right, it's a Black Library book for 40k. I get you now. Um, if you show me a concept art book that just has pages and pages of like what stormtroopers could have looked like, what Luke Skywalker could have looked like, what Shepard could have looked like, what the Normandy could have looked like, I will pore over that for hours and hours and hours, and it's I've said like I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. I like it well enough. I don't dislike it by any stretch. It's too much effort to dislike things like that. Um, but it doesn't have me like going crazy. Like I don't get feverish at the drip of a new movie or anything like that. But it's one of the things I've liked with the expanded movies, like Rogue One. It's sort of something I've liked with the Mandalorian. Is seeing all these different marks of a stormtrooper armor, a Mandalorian armor, and just seeing like, oh, clearly they've seen this bit of concept art from way back when, and they've gone, well, okay, maybe that one is legit, but it's only used on this one planet. Um, so you get like the classic stormtrooper, and then they go to a different planet, and you've got their stormtroopers very clearly, but they're adapted for like a permanently rainy planet, or they've got swamp grade armor, things like that. That's what I really like. Like the in Rogue One, you get the stormtroopers that are essentially in tan armor for the beach. They are sort of camouflaged for that area, and it, especially when something's like mass produced like stormtrooper armor, it lends a lot of weight to. Oh, this is a huge military force with a lot of influence and power, because they have the ability to outfit people so rigidly, but also so specifically. Like they have their uniforms, but they're so varied because they are such a wide-reaching organization. Um, yeah, exactly. Like, I think especially with like board games and things like that, you get like different marks of TIE fighters, X-wings. Even when you in like the classic, like the original Star Wars movies, you see all the TIE fighters, and then you see Darth Vader's TIE fighter, and it's very clearly a TIE fighter, but it's just like rather than the flat wings, it's got those curved wings, and you go, ooh, that's a special one. It sort of scratches that same itch of like finding like a top quality sword in a game, or like a shiny Pokemon. You're like, I know what that is immediately, but I know it's special. I know it's different, and it's cooler immediately because of that. And like in Star Wars Rebels, you get there's the character who's a graffiti artist, and she has stolen a TIE fighter and tagged it and like spray painted all over it and done some really cool designs on it. And immediately I'm like, okay, cool, you've taken the classic and personalized it. Now that's unique, and I fucking adore it. That is everything I ever want in my sci-fi and fantasy stuff. Like even if it's just like you see like the guards of Helm's Deep or something like that, and you can see all their armor. Then you see the captain, and he's got little extra trinket on the side, or like he's got some gold trim to his armor, or something like that, and you go, "Ooh, special!" It's a very like base reaction. I feel like it's like a proper like caveman brain, like, "Ooh, shiny!" But it is one of my favorite things to look out for and see. I find myself doing this in a lot of games, and I probably end up doing it in Breath of the Wild, is collecting all the different armor sets, just not even to wear them, just so I have them, and then for my own sort of internalized vanity of what I want out of the game is I have something for every occasion. Like, I'm terrible for doing it in Fallout 4 with all the different marks of power armor. What I do is I just make a beeline for all the power armor that you can get, set up my base, and it's just a gallery of suit after suit after suit. I'll have every mark in every paint job. Yes, when I was playing Bloodborne, and then someone called it, I was looking like, okay, what kind of like armor do I need for this? And the prevailing sort of mentality was, the armor in Bloodborne doesn't work, doesn't like matter. There's not a big enough difference, other than some specific like condition resistant stuff. It's fashion born. It's fashion souls. Wear whatever the fuck you want. It's like down. Yes, thank you. Like, I love getting the really cool, powerful armor, but I also kind of love just making myself look pretty. Like, and that's sort of with going back to Mass Effect. They added in to, I think they did a lot more of 3 than they did in 2, but it was all the different styles of armor, and I never wanted to mix and match because I wanted to know what the full set looked like, because only in the full set do you get the intention of what the artist and the designer wanted for that look. So, like, you might get the best stats out of, like, the recon helmet, the tank shoulder pads, the scout chest plate, and the Reaver's leggings. But I want to know what the entire Reaver set looks like. I want to know what the entire tank set looks like, because that is where the artist has gone, okay, this looks complete now. I think there is more transmogging coming into RPGs. It's becoming more and more. I think we have a lot of MMOs to thank for that, where really it's a wonder I've not gone into more RPGs with the amount of like vanity items you get in those games. The clown suit for stats. That is perfect. That is exactly how it feels sometimes. Like, if you kick down the doors to the king's courtroom and declare yourself, I'm the hero of the lands, and you're wearing like the clown suit, you're gonna get laughed out. But if you kick down the door and you're dressed up to the nines, you feel like you're gonna impress people way more. Maybe that's a mechanic we should start like suggesting to more developers. Is how about like completely separate to your armor, your resistances, there's a gravitas stat, and that dictates how people regard you when you walk into a room. Like, you may be like the most uber killy character in the world, but if you've got no gravitas, no one's gonna listen to you. Because no one, like, who's this fucking idiot with this leather pigskin helmet, this chicken feather cloak? Like, he's just some fucking no one. Kick him out. The cleanliness. Okay, yeah, I like that. Because so I imagine that as you go adventuring, you'll get covered in muck and dirt, like blood and just mud and rain and all sorts of nonsense. Because I found that was something really jarring in. Oh, plate armor makes it easier to pass charisma checks. Interesting, cool. I like that, because you look more like a seasoned warrior rather than someone who's just wearing a couple of animal skins. Like, yeah, you can kill like 4 squirrels to make that hat, but can you kill the dragon? I don't know. I'm not. I'm not feeling the hero vibe from you. Yeah, it makes you look like what the people expect a good heroic dude to look like. It plays into their own stereotypes and like cultural bias to what you should look like as an adventurer. No, I like that. Because it was one thing I again with Bioware RPGs, Dragon Age Origins um, was I think one of the first console games to have like persistent blood on your character. So if you slice a werewolf in half and you get sprayed in blood, you'll be covered in blood. Brilliant, and it looks cool, and it looks like, yeah, I've just been through a really hard battle. So it sells the fantasy really well. But then you immediately walk into a lord's court, and it's like, hello, I'm here for the masquerade ball, and you're drenched in blood. It's like, I don't think they'd let you through the gates. Or you definitely get a little bit more resistance at the gates. Like, sorry, you can't come in dressed like that. We have lords and ladies here of a nervous disposition. I think I can't remember if it was quite as prevalent, um, but in Dragon Age Inquisition, leaned even more into like the politics side of stuff than Origins did. I haven't played two, so I can't comment. Um, and I was playing this huge hulking Qunari woman. So just an absolute meat cleaver on the battlefield, just cleaving everything in two. Biggest sword you can find, heaviest armor you can find, more spikes the merrier. And then I'd be going to a dance or a ball or a court. I don't think I'm dressed the part. I know they did have some options. Like you did have like a royalty suit and things like that, but they didn't. It was all cosmetic. It didn't give you anything for it. So it feels like it's with Dragon Age at the very least. It's something they want to play with. Is the way I'm seeing what they're doing. Um, yeah. It's very clear that it's something they want to try and do more of, but I don't know if they're giving it the proper thought or they want to dedicate the resources to it, or maybe it's they don't think the player base by and large is something that they want to deal with. Like Ali, you and me, it seems like we absolutely would love a set of armor for every occasion, and that's kind of what we want to design. Like even beyond like, here's my poison resist set, here's my fire resist set, here's my ice resist set. I want the Thieves Guild set, so the all the skullduggery Thieves Guild like patrons take me seriously, and I want a separate Nobles Court set. So when I rock up to the court, I'm not just in blackened leathers that are covered in sewer grime, while I try and address the king. Because I would absolutely be down for all of that. Yeah, it does for me as well. Um, I did games design at uni, so there's a certain point of like um, faux sort of game critic shenanigans that goes on, like, oh, I know how they did this, or I know the coding layers that might have gone into this to get this system working. But yeah, there's certain things that where if it really breaks the immersion, I'm like, uh, oh no. And it's like a lot of it is just systems coming together in ways that the developer didn't really envision or didn't have time to account for. Like, given the right person at BioWare enough time, they probably could have cleaned up a system where if you enter the cutscene of um, like addressing the king, there probably would have been like an assumed like, oh, by the way, your character totally just wiped all their armor clean before they address the king. Like that's just something they would naturally do, and you don't have to explain to the player because the player's intelligent enough to know that, whether consciously or subconsciously, they probably know they wipe their feet before entering the king, like the king's chambers or whatever. Um, but whether through like crunch or just they don't have the time to do it, to put those systems in, you end up tracking mud all over the king's bedroom. You're like, don't care how powerful you are, you don't get to do that. I feel like I'm getting tooth blindness going through all that, so I'm going to go over here and do some more out here. Yeah, it's the gameplay loop is a real fickle beast, and I don't begrudge them for wanting to get the gameplay loop there, because I think we seem to be looking at things in a lot of detail that I don't think a lot of other people do. Um, and like that's not to say, oh, we get video games or anything like that. It's what we do. We're not in it for the kick-ass numbers. We're in it to sell the fantasy of being the hero. Um, but more, I think a lot of people don't quite see it like that, and they want to get in. They want to have a lot of like immediate fun and gratification, um, which is fair enough. Because I do it myself. Like there are plenty of like free-to-play games and things like that, which honestly they're like the Hero Collector games on mobile. I actually really like a lot of those to an extent because I'm a character artist. I like seeing all the different characters that you can get in a game. So things like Contest of Champions, um, Magic Arena. I've done a little bit of like AFK Arena, even Raid Shadow Legends. Not looking for those sponsors by any stretch, but I've played a lot of those games and I want to unlock as many characters as possible because I like seeing all the different characters. I'm not in it to have the most smash face character that does the biggest number of damage. I want to collect all the orcs. I want to collect all the knights. I want to collect all the mages and like the wood elves and the dark elves and the dwarves and the humans and the undead and things like that. Um, but there is a point where, okay, I've got a good number of heroes now, and then the gameplay loop sort of doesn't attach itself properly. And I go, oh, I can see where they're trying to hook me back in. I can see the grind, and it loses me immediately. And it's a real shame. Like, there's some really good games. I think I see it on mobile more than like console or PC. Maybe it's just because it's the kind of games that I play. But once you see that loop, and you kind of the magic is dead, it's very difficult for a game to stay high up in my desire to play. Like once I see it's just waiting for my energy to refresh, that can very easily spell doom for my engagement with a game. I think MMOs are. I think they're better at covering it than mobile games are. I think that's just through length of how long they've been around. It's like World of Warcraft. I know Ali, you play a lot. You've played a lot more of than I have. So you'll be much more well versed in the end sort of loop than I would be. But eventually, it comes a point where you're doing the same mission over and over for a chance to get even more smaller chances at getting higher and higher loot. And there's a point where you go, I've seen the loop here, and the magic dies. And you're like, if it's not actively engaging enough, oh no, it might be time to move on. Which is a huge shame to get to oh, look at that new guy, Doom Goblin. How you doing? We're jumping from a million topics like in a heartbeat at the moment, I feel. from character designs to DLC NPC, DLC like player characters to now we're on gameplay loops and keeping your engagement in games. I think the Dark Souls games are really good at sort of bringing you to the point of where you're probably going to find that loop just about, and that's where you sort of check out, unless you're just hardcore into the game. Um, Especially looking at it from the like the trophy standpoint of unlocking things. Like by playthrough 3, you've got everything. Yeah, all the major world issues. How you doing, Bionicles? It's good to see you again. That sounded sarcastic. I'm sorry. It wasn't. I'm just tragically British. Everything sounds sarcastic. Yeah, I think the Dark Souls games and even Bloodborne is really good at bringing you to the point where you might start seeing that gameplay loop, and then going, "Congratulations, you've got everything now." Because I think each one takes you just about halfway into your third playthrough before it gives you like the final opportunity to get everything in the game. By that point, if you played right, you've got everything. But that's still, you've played through all the content that game has to offer 3 times. So in terms of like how the game sort of strung you along in your attention span, it's really, really, really cleverly paced. And even then, some people just get addicted to the mechanics. Like, I can see Dark Souls being a game that I go back to for years and years and years to come. Even now, I'm tempted to go back to Bloodborne. I've got no reason to. Like, I've got nothing to unlock. Other than going, I want to do a build centered around this weapon this time round. They're talking about all the different armors and stuff like that you can ever collect in a game. It's something I really want to do with the D&D character is basically either like a tailor or like someone who collects like garments and costumes based on where they've gone. The stealth archer is very addicting. I'm not gonna lie. My fallback character on like Dark Souls and things like that is the big sword smashy man. Like I'll try and do all these other builds, but if it ever doesn't work for more than half an hour, I'm like, I need a bigger sword. Clearly, I don't have enough sword to get through this challenge. Yeah, or I'll go the shotgun route if it's a game with guns. Like, I need more bullets faster, and there's no faster way of getting bullets out there than a shotgun. Because even machine guns, they're 1 bullet at a time. But a shotgun, you've got like 5 or 6 going at one time. So your bullets per second or bullets per pull of the trigger are really, really good. And with shotguns, you don't necessarily have to be a brilliant shot. You just have to be fast. So if I can run into a room and get to the guy's face quick enough and pull the trigger, I don't need to worry about headshots from across the map. I just need to get there fast enough before they realise I'm there. You're not wrong. If you just, it feels like a very like, I think that's a Lee Evans joke where, and he's talking about Moss Side in Manchester, and they're so fucking hard there, they just insert bullets manually. Don't need the gun. Like just throwing an ammo box at someone is like the natural conclusion of that. I don't need a gun. I just need to get near you. I did that with Metal Gear Solid 5 a bunch. Um, Not the putting in bullets manually, but the sneaky man turned shotgun assassin. Um, where I'd spend an hour and a half like scoping out a base, seeing where all the enemies are, and then I run in, shotgun someone in the face, maybe 2 or 3 people before the alarm gets fully raised, and then hide, wait for it all to calm back down again, and then shotgun another 2 or 3 people and work my way through the base. Eventually, the enemy just feels like never go inside, never open a locker because there might just be a shotgun that goes off. I think the shotgun shock trooper is an underrated build in a lot of first-person shooters. I never see it talked about on like the Legend of the Boom Locker. They say he's never been caught. Say he is a spirit that transfers from locker to locker. Oh, so Bionicles, you go by much more the Looney Tunes Acme Corporation method. That just sounds like a Jack Black movie. El Locanibre. I feel like I've gone very dramatic on the shadows on this mimic now. And there's certain other bits of this mimic that don't quite share that drama. So it's going to have to sort of catch up. I haven't touched the tentacles yet. I almost testicles, but I didn't. But I owned up to it anyway. Because that's what you meant to do when you almost say testicles. Just own up to it. I'm trying to think about other games that are really good for like armor collection, things like that. My partner's playing Phoenix Immortals at the moment, and that's really good for it. You can vanity all the armor you get in that and collect in that. So if you want like a particular god's set of uh, if you want a particular set of like god's armor, you can vanity it all on, so you can be like the Ares warrior, even though you're wearing all of like Hera's stuff. Yeah, have you never seen a Mimic's gonads? They're right here. Just, and if you can get them, automatic crit. Right, what else have I got here? I think here. I think all the different yeah, if you look in the monster manual, it's there now. It's magically appeared at the bottom. Are like amendments to the stat block. There's Gonad Strike. It's a difficult shot. It's a -5 to your hit modifier, but if you can do it, then it's an automatic crit. And the Mimic dies of embarrassment. Now you do. No one's half the battle. The other half is gratuitous testicular violence. And now there's a clip of me on the internet saying gratuitous testicular violence on the internet. And I'm so glad that I'm streaming. What were we talking about before? Like all like costumes and stuff like that. Um, it's what I've always liked in a lot of like shonen anime, like all the transformations that characters go through feel like extra costumes they've unlocked. It's all very, very like tickles my character design brain. Just like all like the Super Saiyan varieties and like all of the like versions of like Ichigo's sword in Bleach. He gets like a new one every other episode. It feels, but I love it because you never know what the new costume's going to look like. And it does a lot for keeping my attention longer than it might have normally. It's more a tagline for the channel is Explosive Barrel. Come for the artwork, stay for the gratuitous testicular violence. I'm gonna keep saying it until it sticks. I'm gonna force the the uh, the catchphrase. Sorry, I'm sniffing so much. It's I don't know. There's something like dust in the air or something like that. But something's really irritating my nose. I think that's an objective for the weekend: is a de-dusting. Yeah, I feel there's a lot of responsibility for streamers and like the audiences they have, the communities they build, and am I just inadvertently inviting the cock and ball torture crowd Because I don't know. Is that what I'm gonna start have to start pandering to? So I think all of this bit here will basically be in shadow, leaving this bit here to be in relative light. So just how do I do that? Start with the teeth, at the very least. Yeah, everyone's got their niche. Yeah, everyone's got their niche. Like, Jacksepticeye is Irish, and I am the cock and ball torture guy now, apparently. You never, you never get to choose what your thing is on the internet. It's usually assigned to you. So do I bother fighting it? It's too much. It can't be tamed what the actual tagline of the channel will be. But all the OG fans, they will know what it really means. What the real in-joke is. Yeah, can't be tamed. Live your own life. Be your own man. Fuck the system. Be who you want to be. But we all know it's cock and ball torture, really. So I'm basically trying to figure out whereabouts this shadow line will fall. I reckon around here. Sorry, I've gone a little bit silent. I'm having to proper use my struggling art brain to figure out whereabouts these shadows are going, really. That one doesn't make sense. Caleb, how are we doing? Don't tell me you've just arrived. You've missed all the cock and ball torture talk. Like, the one time you're not here. And it all goes to pot. And I can't blame you. If anything, this is proof, like, for if you ever have those moments where you feel like, God, I just ruined everything. No, you don't. Some things just ruin themselves first before you can get to them. Some things are just on a crash course, and they're gonna go. They're gonna go if you're there or not. And this is truly a dark time for you, Caleb. But anyway, Caleb, other than like missing out on grand opportunities to ruin stuff, how are you doing? Are you good? Is your week going as planned? Good's busy. Good can like busy can be good. Is it good busy or is it busy that you don't really want to deal with? So the bad busy. Ooh, very nice. Any revealing photos sent? Either way. God, what's the point then? They're just wasting your time then. Immediately block and delete. Smear over Twitter. Get them cancelled for not sharing nudes. You know, buck the trend. He's hoping you're going to make the first move. That's what that is. He's just shy. Sorry, Caleb. It's his loss. So we're talking about a lot of games and that just sounds like good, like regular poops. Like you're definitely eating your fiber. We're talking about like armor sets and what we look for, like RPGs for like character loadouts and stuff like that. Have you ever like a favorite game to just dress up in, or like just handles armor perfectly, Caleb? Talking about like Dark Souls and how you can basically wear whatever armor you want, um, and it's all good. The game's not going to punish you too much if you want the standard knight set or some really far off, hard to get armor. Yeah, I think WoW's armor vanity stuff very much like blazed the trail. Um, that's just their own little flair is the shoulder pads in World of Warcraft. But I feel like World of Warcraft is one of those sort of trendsetters in terms of like armor vanity stuff. Because I don't know of many games that really did it too much before WoW. I feel like because there were sort of the games that were like, oh, here's your special holiday weapon for an event, or here's a weapon for defeating a boss. But it wasn't necessarily the best weapon in the game, but you still want the bragging rights that I did the thing or I was there at the event. I think it paid off like big dividends just sticking around was all the vanity and I don't know. I never saw the WoW movie, but did they have massive shoulder pads in that? I know the orcs were pretty top heavy, which is always good to see because orcs should be like gratuitously top heavy. I remember playing WoW at school for a little bit, and this was pre. What was it? What was the? I always call it the green one, but it was like the Burning Gate or like something like that. It was like one of the first proper DL like expansions for it. Um, and then later on at uni, getting into WoW around Wrath of the Lich King, and and then seeing like the differences is just like mind blowing. And I'm sure even now, because that was 10 years ago. Um, if I what's the brilliant? I've got a load of people in the chat that play a lot of WoW and have mentioned the WoW film. Oh, this is how I lose all my subs. Um, yeah, because what I saw of the orcs was really good fun. But then I think I saw in a couple of trailers that the um the Dragon Ball Z. Are you talking about the live action Dragon Ball Z film? Because that thing is atrocious. All right, new topic of discussion: just films that really annoyed the player base or the viewership of the core material, the source material, even. Live action is the only canon film. I mean, to a certain extent, in that universe, yeah, sure. I think technically you're right, which is the best kind of right. It was a real special day when I saw the Dragon Ball Z Evolution. Oh man, there is no Last Airbender film in Basing Say is the greatest thing to come from that movie. I've not got a good feeling about the live action Last Airbender TV show that's coming out of Netflix sooner rather than later. I think the original creators were on board with it and they were helping out and either writing or being consultants or something like that, and they've now left. Um, citing what is it? Like irreversible or like unsolvable like creative differences essentially. It's like okay, oof. Um, I think there's a studio exec in there somewhere that just has not learned to shut the fuck up and let the creatives do the creative thing. I would love a new animated show. Like again, jump like 50 years into the future again, and give us a new Legend of Korra. Like not Korra, but like what Korra was to Last Airbender. Give us that jump again. I'd love to see that. Where you've got old lady Korra. Absolutely. I feel like the Earthbenders. I don't know how they're not the king. Like the overarching like dominant culture. Um, because literally fucking everywhere is Earth. Like you can't get away from this stuff. Although I suppose the Earth Kingdom is the biggest kingdom. Because what was Korra like as a bender? What was she originally? Like was she water? I feel like she was water. I might be misremembering. She was water, yeah. God, Toph was OP. Toph didn't need to be the Avatar. She was just insanely powerful at every turn. The only reason why she ever got beaten or anything like that was because she's blind. I feel like if The Last of Us was a video game, Toph would get nerfed again and again and again, and it would never be enough because you can't balance that little girl. She is just too powerful. There's no two ways around it. And Toph actually goes pretty well on what we were talking about before, like having like main characters introduced so late, um, and how Toph only came in book two. So there's an entire book without her, and even then in book two, she was there was a good like maybe third of it before she properly became a part of the group, and that's a lot of time to not have Toph, the clearly the apex power of that gang. And no wonder they were struggling up until they met Toph. She was always there because they were always standing on Earth, so she knew exactly where they were and what they were coming to do. That's my headcanon for keeping her involved. I feel like they made, in terms of like time, um, time periods, they jumped pretty far between Last Airbender and Korra. Because it was Korra where they started razzing around in like steam cars and things like that at the beginning, and then, but like Last Airbender was definitely like feudal China, so they've advanced like what a couple hundred years in the space of 50. So give it another 50 years, and they'll be what modern day. So I'd love to see like the Avatar in a group chat with all the other avatars in the spirit realm. Because like he's contacting the spirit realm. There's an app for that. It's fine. Got no signal. That's why you got to make sure you get the roaming minutes on your contract. Oh my god, I would love Uncle Iroh to have a Twitter page. That would be like, I would unsubscribe from everyone else and only follow Iroh just to keep my mental health like in check. And every now and again slide in the DMs like, "Hey Uncle Iroh, am I all right? Am I a good guy still? I just need some sagely advice." Although you're talking about like all those fake ones, where it's like basically just the live, laugh, love shit, posing as Uncle Iroh. I don't know if I can handle that. Tweets on the Vine. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's fine. Like we can always go and watch Last Airbender again, and Uncle Iroh's right there. Although talking aside, I'm almost done with my first playthrough of um, Dark Souls 2, and I think I'm getting to the point where I definitely need to play an easier game, a more chill out game in my free time. So I'm thinking of making the jump once that's all done and dusted to go over to like Lego Marvel Superheroes or the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Just to sort of like, games can be a happy place too. Okay, I've seen a lot of Genshin Impact, or like I haven't seen a lot of Genshin Impact. I've seen a lot of people talking and a lot of like posts going around Reddit and stuff like that. It's clearly really popular. But yeah, it struck me as a little bit too anime centric for me. But if it's anything like Breath of the Wild, then I'm Final Fantasy. Like I'm down for Final Fantasy any day of the week. Um, and if it's Breath of the Wild inspired as well, then I might have to give that a proper look. And free to play always helps because who's got money these days? Not us. No. So it's what platform would you say is probably best for Genshin Impact though? Like, is that something that really needs PC, or is it more like just play it on what you want? Like, it's kind of console based at heart. But is that PS4 is fine or PS4 is fine? Oh, so he's doing pretty much both. So like console inputs, but power of PC. I might give it a look in, see what I get out of it, because I got really I like MMOs. I've kind of PS4 have exclusive shit. I like exclusive shit because I like feeling special more so than just my teachers at school telling me I was very special. I don't know. I think I'll have to give it a look because I got really into Final Fantasy 14, and that was a little bit more weeb than I thought it was going to be. But I really, really, really um, enjoyed it. Oh, my kind of special I got told was like I might have to take extra classes, but no, I was just really lazy. My report cards at school were always um, usually like Adam's Adam's smart enough to do this, but he's just not fucking trying. The boy is lazy to a fault, to the point where my English teacher thought I was dyslexic. And who knows, maybe I am, because my handwriting was garbage and um, I wasn't doing much of the homework, so I was just sort of just about passing. So it looked like I was really struggling. Whereas my mum knew I'm just lazy. I just had no passion for it. Like, can I spell? Yes. Can I spell well? Do I have to? Like, this is the area where phones were really starting to like mobile phones was really starting to come in. So it was a time. It was the like the high point of text speak. So you don't need to know how to spell. You just need to know how to abbreviate stuff. Because the future is now, which my GCSE teachers didn't understand. And then very soon after, autocorrect was everywhere, not just on your computer but on your phones as well. So who needs to know how to spell these days? Let the robots do it for us. Maybe I'll give some Genshin Impact some time in on the weekend. See how it sits. Because again, I like the whole like gathering a group of heroes and being able to really choose your team. Um, how are the choices you get to make in terms of team of Genshin Impact? Is it like you've got 40 odd people, but they're basically all palette swaps? If you just want a bunch of blonde dudes, then you can do that. Or do you want a group of all rogues? Can you can you do, or is it very much like oh, these guys, like this person is very unique in what they say and what they do and what they want out of the game world? Oh, my autocorrect changes duck to fuck now. It's sort of given in. It's accepted like, you're just too far out. Oh, cool. So you're probably mixing and matching elements to get them sick combos. Okay, cool. I like that. I can groove to that. I appreciate the vaporize sort of damage and stuff like that. Because I like if I'm given a lot of tools, I want to be able to splash around with them. So it's actively encouraging you to do that. Then yeah, like pull on people, one-handed sword, bows, mages, and claymore users, all of which can heal, support, or main DPS. So no two seems the same. I like the sound of that. So if I want to run around with like four big sword burly dudes, I can do that. Because that's the kind of stuff, that's the dumb stuff I want to do. Because that's what, if you remember when we were playing 40k, Caleb, that's the kind of stuff I do. I want to have a themed party or a themed list. I don't want the most efficient kill squad in the world. I want either like 1,000 guardsmen on the table or 18 tanks, or I want every bolter to be twin linked, or I want a theme of some sort. It was one of my favourite playthroughs of Dragon Age Origins, was going the hunter and getting everyone else to be a hunter as well. So I had my four party members standing at the back shooting arrows, and we all had our four pets run in to take all the aggro. So it was great having that sort of legion of beasts. You get maxed out characters for free, and you get to wish, which is essentially loot boxes. Okay, you get a dumpster ton of these for free, so you have a billion characters to choose from. I like I like those sort of what's it called? It's a Japanese, is it gachimon? Where it's like lucky dip characters. I like that sort of thing because I play a lot of those mobile games, which like get like 100 summon scrolls for free and see what heroes you get for whatever you need. I like that sort of game. So if it's a more in-depth version of that, then I think I could definitely be down for sinking some time into it. I might have a look at it on PC and see if my machine can run it. It'd be the good excuse to double just check in and see how my computer's doing, because it is 6 to 7 years old now. It plays on phone. Oh, so cool. My PC will definitely run it then. I've been low key wanting to put my PC through its paces in terms of modern games because it's old. I say old; it's like 6 years old. Um, I've basically got to put it through preschool now. Um, if it plays on phones and tablets, that's mental. Do all these players interact, or is it separate servers? I was looking at the chat and actually drawing at the same time then. That is a recipe for chaos. Not in a good way that we usually like. Actually, with the, like massive like hero collectible games, I get really addicted because I like seeing all the different designs, the characters. So if I end up like not drawing anything for months on end, Caleb, it's definitely your fault. So I'm basically using the exact same way of shading in or like shadowing the tentacles here as I did the beholder's tongue, because I found I really liked how that ended up looking, so I'm going to use it everywhere. And talking about it, it looks just like me. The self-portrait is going perfectly. What are you talking about? Have you seen a biblical angel? They are mental, to say the least. They're mind-shatteringly grotesque. Which grotesque is one of my favourite words, by the way. I don't know what I'm going to be drawing next, but I think whatever it is, it's going to be something less tentacly and just fleshy. Like I miss hard edges, like plate armor. I think maybe we'll do like a classic like paladin style knight. Show everyone that I've actually got some range in what I can draw, rather than just gribbly monsters. So I feel like I'm zooming in and out a lot, and it's not arbitrary. I am zooming in and out to keep reminding myself of where I am in the piece and what I've got left to do and what I've done, and so like what my aim is for the next like few strokes, where I'm intending to end up. Get into all the little nitty gritty bits. I say that getting into like this thing's been mostly nitty gritty. Damn right, tentacles looking juicy. It's the kind of tentacle you want. You want dry tentacles. You're awful. The closest thing you want to dry tentacles is a mummy. That would be using like bandages as tentacles to ensnare prey. Nope. Buggered that one up. Feeling like these rivets have been really flat, but I was kind of at a loss for what to do with them. And I remembered I have a routine for these. A little bit of shadow on the actual rivet, and then a little bit behind. It helps settle them in just a little bit. And I always love the D&D character that comes in and they're like, I'm a chef. All the monsters you're going to throw at me, I want to eat them. It's a massive power play, and I always love it. But yeah, that horrible monster, it's cool. I'm going to eat it. It's like the ultimate domination of your combat encounters. Although it can get a little dicey when you're killing sentient creatures. Like, is it really okay to eat the orc? Yeah, Barnacles. I fucking adore Toran, your orc chef. That's great. It shows an extra level of investment that a player gives to your combat encounters in D&D. Like, I'm not only here to have fun, chip away the hit points of the monsters you throw at me. I'm paying attention because if you mention it breathes fire, I'm gonna try and cut out the bile sac and see if it makes a really spicy stew and shit like that, or um, does giant snake taste good and that sort of stuff. Basically, any D&D character, I suppose, yeah, lizard folk just eat anything. It's everything is food if it's not alive. I feel like any character that really gets into crafting systems in D&D is like going above and beyond in a way that a lot don't, and at least I as a DM, love it. I absolutely adore when a character goes to me, hey, so my guy is a tailor, so he's always looking out for fabrics, or they're always on the lookout for new metals, or they're a chef, or they're always looking out to make stories and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, get invested in your own little ways that you do and I can't force. I think this back end here, we're just going to saturate in more darkness to sell that it's the furthest thing away from the light. I think that's going to make that look a little bit more deep. Or create depth, however you want to phrase it. And D&D is another game where I feel like you can theme parties way more than people usually do. And it's a massive missed opportunity that people don't do that. You come to character creation, everyone's bringing in wildly different things, and that's cool. But that's what everyone usually does. Let's have everyone is a member of a circus this time round. Or everyone is a member of a similar crime syndicate. That's what I want to see. Well, you've all got the same goal of you want to build a company or you want to build a chain of taverns. That's the cool shit you never see. I think we've run out of music. Again. So I think we're pretty much done here. I feel like I'd love to see a group of monks as a singular party. I know player turns would take an absolute age because every player's got about 4 or 5 separate attacks and bonus actions and stuff they want to do as well. So there's no like fighter goes, I attack twice and that's me done. Everyone's I attack once, I attack twice, I do flurry of blows, I do a backflip, I do 3 things, and I run halfway across the map, and that's my turn. Times 4. So now we are on to colouring, I think. Because I think for inks, this little dude is done. And I've been thinking, so for the wood panels, like some really dark red. Because this is going to be straight up fantasy chest. Red and gold, really lavish. Luxe. Vibrant than that. No, more vibrant. And then what we want to do is this complementary. All the like actual tentacles and meat being the sickly blue. I think it will be a really uncommon coloration for a mimic, because it's usually like a brown wooden chest, iron banding on it, and then the tentacles are all pink. Whereas with this, we can make something really, really unique. So what do I want to do first? I reckon the actual panels. Wood. Absolutely rich colours. Because you don't want people to think we're poor. Some basic ass wooden chest. Ugh, no one's going to open that. Everyone knows the big golden chest at the end of the dungeon is the one you cannot keep away from. You cannot keep your players away from it. So that's the one that has to be a mimic. Right? It's DM Psychology 101. How do I get my players to fall for the trap they know is there? The trick is you make them so excited they forget to be careful. Best way about it. And if you don't like it, we can always color drop other colors into it anyway. How's that? Right. May not be able to finish the shading of colours on this tonight. But I think we'll get the block colours in at the very least. And I'll do a very cheeky plug of other social medias where I can post the finished piece later on. Because this Beholder and Mimic have basically been a big palette cleanse for me. Because I've been drawing a lot of characters recently, and I do enjoy drawing characters, but I was in danger of burning out, to be honest. And then that's no good, because I end up taking a huge break. And it basically just feels like wasted time. So, rather than do that, I thought, I'll draw some nasty, gribbly monsters. And then we'll come back to characters. Barnacles, you've got it on the head. You know. You've been a player on one of my campaigns. You know the most tantalizing treasure is the one you don't want to pick. Like, if I offer you 3 chests, got like bronze, silver, and gold, you don't pick the bronze because it's worth nothing. You don't pick the gold because it's obviously trapped. You pick the silver because that's responsible. Yeah, I've had a big hankering since doing all this palette cleanse stuff to draw a lot of bad guys. So I posted up a work in progress of a necromancer the other day, like a big cult leader, like high priestess kind of thing. Really enjoying that. So I don't know what I want to do next. I'm thinking of Puck the Silver and Steal the Bronze. You see, that just raises the angry spirits that were in the dungeon, that were laid to rest to guard the treasure, and make sure that whoever comes wasn't too greedy. But yeah, I'm drawing a like a high priestess. So depending, I think if I can finish her over the weekend, I will. But if not, I might make that next week's stream. Or I'll get to work on another bad guy. Because I want to do a bad guy essentially based on each of the 6 stats of D&D. Just so I'm getting like all like the big tropes out there. I think like charisma for a cultist, and strength maybe like an orc warlord. Intelligence like a lich or something like that. And then wisdom I was really struggling with, but Maya on Twitter helped me out with that and gave me like an archfey, because the Fae are not just friendly little fairy folk; they are nasty little tricksters. And the great thing with like fairy courts in D&D is they have so many tiny little rules, and if you misstep on any of them, then that Fey Lord is basically got free reign to just mess with you all they want. And they are powerful, like reality warping creatures. See, I was thinking with Constitution, potentially like not Stone Golem, not Stone Golem, Goliath, barbarian, because I always feel the like the orcs are always like the unstoppable force. Like they're marching to your gates, and there's no way you're gonna stop them because they're so damn violent. Whereas the Goliaths are just the immovable object. Like this, they're a bad guy, and it's like they will never move. They will never yield. Like if you've wronged them, that is a grudge they'll bear forever, in a very sort of dwarven way. It's actually I don't know if it's a campaign idea, but it's a world element idea I've had for a couple of days now of the unstoppable force and the immovable object being represented by clans of orcs and clans of stone golems, and they share like a sometimes friendly, sometimes less friendly, like regard for each other. Like they'll egg each other on. Like the stone giants, oh no, the Goliaths will posture about how tough they are and how they can weather any storm. And the orcs do the exact same about how strong they are and how they can make anyone yield. And they'll constantly get into war games with each other. Where the the Goliaths will like occupy a an area of land, and the only objective is to stay there, and the orcs will have their only objective is to shift them. Because at the moment I'm really taken with that idea, and I want to see what I can do with it. I think my campaigns are at the strongest when we're dealing with like tribal stuff, like orcs and like wild men, that sort of stuff, or like the urban skullduggery of like thieves guilds and things like that. I can do, but it doesn't come as naturally as orcs and their sort of I don't know what you call it, like the inter-clan relationships. Like, as brutal as it is, it's still politics. Maybe it's just something really simple, and the might makes right mentality is easy to do. Like the Klingons in Star Trek, I always loved seeing those guys and all of their culture, and the Dothraki in Game of Thrones. All the violent tribalistic cultures, basically. That's my jam. Maybe I should do a D&D campaign where it's a group of orcs making a new clan. Though I know there'll be the nightmare of the party of like, what do we call the clan? Cue 400 sessions of, I'm not sure. And having an all-orc party is just that much more viable now that Tasha's is out. And you're not hamstrung with orc stat bonuses. Because I think it was Ravnica fixed the orcs so they didn't have that -2 to intelligence. So you could actually have smart orcs again. And then Tasha's Cauldron of Everything allowed you to just put your stats wherever you want. So if you want that orc wizard, you could have an orc wizard and not be lagging behind in terms of stats compared to the orc barbarian. It makes playing against type so much easier. Ali, no worries about it, man. The fact that you've tried to keep up is brilliant enough as it is. I can only hope that your internet's held up for any games or anything like that you're playing. But if you're back in now and you're catching up, I'm just been theory crafting a D&D campaign of all orcs basically, and basically the party's task is to create their own orc clan. Either like they're all born classless or they're all exiled for something, and they've gone fuck it, we'll make our own with blackjack and hookers. Now, the most recent books have really enabled orcs specifically to be really playable because they've because Eberron's removed the -2 intelligence penalty, and then Tasha's has said, "Oh, that's strength and constitution bonus. You can put wherever you like if you want to make a super smart orc for a wizard or something like that." But I also, I almost see it as like almost like a Star Trek sort of situation, if you will. Like you end up with the spiritual, like almost like the Guinan sort of character, who's very much like the emotional and morality centerpiece of the clan. Like not too handy in a fist fight, but if the clan needs guidance in a particular task or like course of action, that's the one that they're going to call on. So wisdom out the wazoo. And then you've got the orc that fucks everything, the Riker. Although I feel like it would be all Worf cosplaying as each member of the crew. I don't know who would actually tell Worf to shut up in that case. I feel like Worf got hard done by in that show. He tried really hard. Every time. Just shut the fuck up, Worf. Maybe I'll put some thought into that Orc campaign. See if I can make it something that'll work. Maybe not like a multi-year spanning campaign, but like a multi-month one. That's true. Wesley was a bit of an anomaly, I feel, in Star Trek, because I've never seen another character quite so powerless consistently throughout the entire show. Like Wesley never got anywhere or did anything. Um, as much as Will Wheaton seems like a nice dude and a cool bloke, it's not to drag on him at all, but like you look at Nog on DS9, the little Ferengi kid, and he started out as like a little bit of like a he's the kind of kid that gets picked on in school. He has his own friends that he bullies because he gets bullied elsewhere. He's sort of that classic powerless kid that's struggling with it all, and then he finds Starfleet and really gets through it. And he has a massive sense of pride. And then I've got a massive amount of respect for that kid because he has such a transformative arc throughout the seasons. Um, that he was never really like ultimately he wasn't a powerless character. He was very much a character that was finding his power. Whereas Wesley, ensign forever. That and the jumpers they had him wear. Then no one's taking you seriously in space with those jumpers. Alright. I'm going to tentacles. And I've just seen some gold I missed. Ooh, yeah, Lower Decks. That's Amazon Prime, isn't it? That is definitely a show I want to check out. I'm watching Voyager again at the moment, and really, really getting back into that. I'm really, really enjoying it, so I'm definitely in the mood for a lot more Trek. I'm thinking of biting the bullet for a lot more streaming services this year. Like, I've been putting it off for so long, but like, Disney Plus just has so much good stuff coming out. And a lot of Marvel stuff that I really don't want to miss out on. And then yeah, Prime's got Lower Decks, American Gods, Preacher. All these different places that are actually having like really solid programming now. And I know we're just getting back into the whole like Sky cable sort of nightmare that our parents have been in for the longest time. But I know, because I work from home now, I have time to actually watch this stuff while I work. Maybe I'll make that my homework for the weekend, is Genshin Impact and Star Trek Lower Decks. And then next week we can all sort of gush about it all. I'm in two minds about giving Disney more money. On the one hand, I don't want to do it. But on the other hand, like, are they going to notice my £10 a month? Like, is that much of a protest I'm staging? I know that's like, everyone's, like, everyone's going to be thinking that. And it's sort of like the mentality that stops people voting in, like, elections and stuff. Of does my vote really mean much? Does my absence of a vote, or does my absence of money really tell them anything? Does it really stick it to the man? What am I missing here? Where is the gap? There's a gap in the circle somewhere. Oh, so this is how ugly everything looks without the inks on top. How grotesque the colours actually look. There's proper finger painting stuff. I'm not sure why that's not working. I know why. Because I've drawn on the wrong layer. Oh well. We live and learn. I could split the blue and the gold back out, but I don't know if I have the will the will to do so, to be honest. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I suppose Picard is Amazon Prime as well, so it's 2 Trek shows. Which seems like the Holy Grail. I feel like it's, if you want all the core Netflix, all the core Trek stuff, you go to Netflix. They've got all like original series, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, Discovery, things like that. If you want all the ancillary stuff, or the shoot-offs, like Picard, Lower Decks, I might be mistaken, but I think isn't Orville um, on Prime as well? Seth MacFarlane's parody that basically just became a Star Trek show. I think that's on Prime, but I could be very mistaken on that because I haven't checked in a long time. Also, I feel with oh, it's not there. No. Oh well. But anyway, I feel like back to the whole like giving Disney money. Like, there's a certain point where I know the like monopolies are generally a bad thing, but they're putting out good content. I know there's horror stories about their theme parks and the working situations there and stuff like that. But I've not heard anything terrible or too like at least not too bad about their working practices for uh like making movies and TV shows. So like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is all Disney, so that's like everyone in Hollywood is loving that. I know it brings in a lot of money, so it probably keeps a lot of dissent quiet. But the amount of talent that they get to use and pull from is so huge, and that can only come from genuinely being somewhere that actors want to be. A paycheck will only get you so far in terms of talent. So I go back and forth, thinking like, well, has Disney kind of just earned all of our money? Should we accept our new overlords? I know I at the very least have an Amazon Prime um, like free trial to use up. So maybe I'll just burn through that, absolutely annihilate all the shows I want to watch in a month, and then quit it out. I know we're on an Amazon platform right now, so there's only so much I can really like. We can never. There's only so much we can ever pretend to protest Amazon, the big companies like that. I think what else in terms of the smaller colours on this have we got left to do? We've got teeth. And we've got I think like the drooling slime. The ichor. Not sure what colour to make that. With the beholder, it was really easy on that massive yellow-green tongue, because your classic blue sort of saliva spit really popped against it. But this is almost the opposite. So maybe like an acid bile green-yellow would do. Yeah, I was thinking yellowish green. I think you're right, Bionicles. Although I did misread ooze as goose because I don't know, maybe I'm just too tired. So I thought you said yellowish green goose. Nah, man, we're drawing mimics. That's another idea I've had in the back of my head for a long time. Is just drawing different dire animals. So like a dire goose. Like you get dire wolves and dire rats, things like that. Just a bigger, meaner version of the normal creature. Just what would a dire goose look like? Hell on two legs. A dire gerbil. It's just a capybara. It's actually really chill. It's really nice. It's the lawful good dire animal. Dire rubber ducky. I feel like there's a path to get to that one. You have like the rubber golem, and then you have variants of rubber golem. Now, immunity to lightning damage. Half of all damage dealt to it is bounced back to the dealer. Shit like that. No, I know you're as bad as me for just... I don't know if they're thought experiments or they're just like... We're just daydreamers. I'm thinking that gold isn't too nice, to be honest. I think we can do better than that. A little more saturated. Yeah, just a little bit more vibrant. Thank you, man. And we'll get the teeth coloured in, and then choose a colour for the eyes. And a little bit of ooze as well. I think we might have to leave it there for tonight. Teethy teeths. Teeth are sort of a bonish or colour. Really, what I could do to save a lot of time is I put teeth at the back and just fucking colour them in like that. It's quick and it's dirty, but it works. Unless we can think of some other psychedelic colour for the teeth. There's a fine line between genius and lazy. I feel like I toe that line pretty deftly. So we're doing sickly green for the bile. The goo. Lazy genius. It's how I live my life, I feel. Lazy genius. Goo. Don't remember what that is, it's fine. Of course, that's our palette. That is the base colours of our mimic done. Look at that pops a lot. Put some shading on that, we can get that real nice. So I think before I actually leave, I'm going to see if I can get this this blue on its own layer. Copy and paste that. So I've got that on a separate layer, and then I go back down to this layer. I mark a pen, delete it all out. Should look horrible for now, but put it back in, and we're none the wiser that I ever messed up the layers. Let's give a quick check that I'm not having any pixels missing or anything like that. Suspicious holes in the ink work. It looks good. So now the gold and the flesh are on a different layer, as they should be. Meat. And I can be a lot more cavalier with how I shade them later on. But I think that is going to be it for tonight, my dudes. No, just Men in Black flash everyone at the end. I think that's going to do it for me tonight. I'm going to go and collapse and fall asleep, I think. Thanks always for hanging with us, chatting. I don't know, I think I'll probably finish this one off stream. So if you follow me on either Twitter or Facebook, Twitter on MySpace. um, Twitter and Instagram. I'll put it on there over the weekend, and I think next week we'll pick up with some cool characters and stuff like that. Although tomorrow I'll be playing Breath of the Wild, so see me get my ass handed to me in Hyrule. I mean, it's beautifully rendered, but it's still me just getting my ass handed to me. So, but yes, I'll see you later, dudes.